Sebastian Bourdais is one of the best drivers in IndyCar history. 4 Champ Car championships and 37 wins between IndyCar and Champ Car are good enough proof of that. But the end of his time in the upper echelons of American open wheel was a wet fart. Bourdais got screwed over multiple times towards the end of his career, but the last was arguably the worst. In 2020, Sebastian Bourdais saved AJ Foyt Racing from being in real trouble. In a year's time, the team dumped him. It's such a sad way for a career to end, especially one so fruitful. But despite the fact that it hasn't been very long since, it's been overlooked when I feel like it shouldn't. The IndyCar paddock lost a great driver when he left, and it's all because his team failed him. To start this off, we need to go back before the pandemic. In 2019, Bourdais was going smoothly. He was in his 3rd year at Dale Coyne Racing, and while the partnership wasn't the greatest in Bourdais' career, it was still one of the best for Dale Coyne. Between 2017 and 2019, they mustered 2 wins, 3 more podiums, and some of the best results that number 18 car has ever seen. 2019, while winless, was still a very solid year, ending in a P11 points finish. So you can imagine the confusion I and many others felt when on November 22nd, 2019, it was announced that Bourdais was now returning to the team. With him getting kicked to the curb so late in the game, he was going to struggle to find another seat. But that opportunity would come, and it came with AJ Foyt. On February 4th, 2020, it was announced that Bourdais would drive part-time for the team. He was meant to drive in St. Pete, Barber, Long Beach, and Portland. While a worldwide pandemic later, this schedule was reduced to the final 3 races of the year, these being the Harvest Grand Prix doubleheader at the IMS road course and the St. Pete season finale. In a year which was full of struggles for the number 14 car, Bourdais' brief time with the team was a breath of fresh air. The biggest highlight was the St. Pete season finale, and it was a mightily important race and result. Bourdais qualified for the race in 7th, but in the race proper he kept it clean and kept it up towards the front. Bourdais would take the checkered flag in 4th place. This result was the team's only top 5 that year, and it helped the number 14 team. With that result, the number 14 car just barely snuck into the Leader Circle program. For those who don't know, the Leader Circle program is reserved to the top 22 cars and owners points. The reward for getting in? $900,000. That 4th place finish wasn't just for pride, it was for almost $1 million. AJ Foyt at this time was in a terrible, and I mean terrible, financial situation. They arguably still are one of the poorest IndyCar teams. But in 2020, things were next level bad. The one driver who ran full-time was Charlie Kimball, who was fully funded and dragged his money from Carlin to Foyt for 2020, then never raced again. The number 14 car, meanwhile, had 3 drivers. Bourdais, Tony Kanaan, who was in the midst of his first retirement tour and used that to bring in more sponsorship money, including a return for 7-Eleven, and Dolan Kellett, who despite being a very intelligent, kind, and genuine person from everything I've seen, is and will likely continue to be remembered as a paid driver. There's no doubt in my mind that if it wasn't for Bourdais getting the car into the Leader Circle, AJ Foyt would have downsized massively over the offseason, which was still affected heavily by the pandemic. For all we know, the team could have dissolved altogether, or just run part-time. In my opinion, Sebastian Bourdais saved that team from the brink of extinction. Even before Sebastian's vital result in St. Pete, it had already been announced that Bourdais would return to the team in 2021, this time as a full-time driver. So how did the year go? Well, at the season opener in Barber, he finished in a wonderful 5th, and also scored an impressive 10th at St. Pete. Then after a bad doubleheader in Texas that resulted in a double DNF, Bourdais hit a rock. Between St. Pete in April and Gateway in August, Bourdais failed to score a top 10. That streak ended with a 5th place run at Gateway, but by this point things were already looking down. By the season finale in Long Beach, less than a year removed from saving the team, it was announced that Bourdais was retiring from full-time IndyCar competition after that season. But something doesn't sit right about any of this. Well before this announcement, there were rumors of Bourdais getting replaced. The retirement announcement felt like he had his arms either tied behind his back or twisted behind his back, just to make things seem better. I have my doubts that this was Bourdais' decision. And when I say I have my doubts, what I really mean is that there's no way that announcement was genuine. Bourdais, even in his last race, could contend for top 10s and backmarker equipment. Put him in a top car and he could probably still win today. The idea of him switching his attention to sports cars, to me at least, feels like a cover-up. A good cover-up, a golden-plated cover-up even, but a cover-up nevertheless. The way I see it, Foyt kicked their guardian angel to the curb, but wanted to make it seem like it was his call. If you were a sponsor of Foyt, Dale Coyne, Juncos, or any backmarker team that you can name, and the team announced publicly that their star veteran driver still getting good results was getting booted out of the team, wouldn't you feel less confident where your money was going? I know I would. That to me is exactly why why they went about it how they did. As a guy who has not only spent a vast part of his life in the racing world as both a driver and a member of the media, I can sniff out BS from a mile away. And this whole situation, even at the time, was giving so many bad signals. The PR damage that highbrow firing can do to a team is palpable. It doesn't even have to be a firing. Even just losing a good driver can hurt. It's what Honko's Hollinger is going through right now considering the recent firing of Callum Ilott. It's what Alpine went through last year in F1 when they lost Oscar Piastri. And it's what Dale Coyne went through when they tried to drop Bourdais in 2019. Foyt was just smart enough to avoid it. The point I'm trying to make here is that a driver like Bourdais really deserves better. To have such a successful IndyCar career, only to get pushed aside and get forced out on terms other than your own is unfit for legends of the sport. It's a similar fate to what Helio Castroneves would have had if he didn't go to Meyer Shank starring in 2021. He would have just been quietly casted aside and replaced. And that's what happened to Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais is yet to make another series start since Long Beach in 2021. And that's a shame for a driver of his stature, his talent, and his status in the world of IndyCar. Imagine if in a few years from now, Scott Dixon was just forced to have Chip Ganassi without the chance to have a retirement season of any kind. Just one race notice and he's gone. It's a fate that Simon Pagenaud likely faces at the moment, but at least he has a good reason health-wise as to why that's the case. When it comes to the career of a legend, they should be treated with the same respect upon their exit as their glory days, because after dedicating years to their craft and achieving stuff that only a few have achieved, they earned a salute on the way out. Thank you all if you've made it this far into this somewhat experimental video, taking a more analytical look into the past. If you'd like to see more stuff like this, please leave a comment down below telling me so. For now, that'll do it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and have a great afternoon.